of course, I know that if you get LeBron to play a game of chess, it's great. It's going to bring millions of people to watch. Or if you get Messi and Ronaldo to take his photo shoot. But what you're actually going to get is just LeBron. It's a weird format. It's like classical then rapid. So it's not a rapid tiebreak. It's just rapid. That counts the same as classical. Very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So you can lose 2 classical games, win 2 rapid, play a blitz playoff, win that, and win the match,
Mm-hmm.
which is some would argue with the format, but okay, that's what it is.
Should we send one to Anish? Do you have his address?
I don't, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the C Squared podcast. We're on the road, both of us. Well, actually, Fabi, you're at home. I'm on the road. I just got here in St. Louis, ready for the American Cup. A lot of things have happened in the last week, but I think most importantly, I mean, we won a tournament, my friend.
Yep.
We've yes, a lot of enthusiasm coming from you, obviously. But yeah, that
Big
was
event. What can I say? Very, very big. Yeah, we played the team chess battle, right? We won that. The final was supposed to be 4 games, but instead it was 2 because of just like scheduling.
yeah.
And so we played Danya Robert team, which is a good team, but I feel like we did play better than them, and it wasn't like we were never in enormous danger. So I think we kind of had a relatively smooth victory.
Well, I have to say the whole tournament was more or less smooth. We didn't lose a single game, and I would say what helped us a lot is that we put a lot of pressure from the beginning. Like I think we won every single white game, and we started with the white pieces every single match. So we put early pressure on pretty much all of our opponents, which was, I feel, quite important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we won every match had the same result, right?
Yes.
3 wins with white, 3 draws with black.
Yes.
So,
And we're lost in pretty much every. Well, the
well,
last one.
no, not the last one. Not the last one. We weren't lost. We were worse, but we weren't lost, and not even so much worse.
How
We were.
worried were you? Because I was pretty worried, especially
I was
after the
worried,
opening. I was
but
pretty worried.
but objectively, we were never so badly off, and I wasn't like, let's say, there was never a moment when I thought we'll lose. While in the other matches, I thought we're gonna lose those games
Yeah, yeah. No,
because we were losing. So
we were badly
pretty
losing
clear.
against. Well, I want to say against Anish and Danny. I knew we were losing, but I couldn't see the exact way for them to just finish us off. And once they got down to their last 30 seconds, I was already quite optimistic. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're getting some chances. Both of our
Mhm.
kings are pretty unsafe, which is good. Your king is unsafe. You're not going to be able to calculate everything with 30 seconds, and it's going to be a coin toss.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was. The last one against. Well, actually, let's start it from the beginning. White pieces against Dani and Hess. They start with the Alekhine. Big surprise. And I proposed something to you, and you did not want to go for it. I wanted to go with this e4, knight f6, e5, knight e5, c4, knight b6, a4. Have you analyzed it?
Yeah. A5, rook A3. I checked it. It's not very good.
How bad is it?
I was just curious. Like, okay, after rook A3, it's like E6 gives black some advantage, and D6 is equal.
Yeah.
I also don't know if, I mean, I guess in Blitz it's as good as anything else. Like E6, you play rook G3, I think, and in Blitz it's probably just as much a mess as any other position you'll get, so it's probably going to work out fine. But if you don't know it, it is just ridiculous also. You'll probably get a very bad position. If you've analyzed it, maybe it's playable, but I don't see the point because you're better if you play another line. Like the line we played.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best lines, and we were just a bit better. And there was nothing really to it. Like I know that Danya is pretty good friends with Bortnik, who's one of the highest rated online blitz players, and generally just like very good blitz player. I don't know what he is on like the chess.com rankings, but let's say he's like top 20 online blitz players, right? That would
Regularly,
be,
yes. Yes, regularly.
and Bordnik pretty much exclusively plays the same openings, which are that he plays the Jobava London with white, like exclusively, like tens of thousands of games. He plays the Alekhine, and yeah, that's basically his like his big two that he's really known for. So I can't say that I expected the Alekhine, but it's not like a shock. Like I think I said it when we were talking that okay, this is probably Bordnik's influence, and they probably looked at it together.
Yeah, yeah, no,
It's the
absolutely.
way Bordnik played.
I think it was very
Okay.
smart from us to avoid the King's Indian because we wouldn't have been able to keep the reins within
Mhm.
the King's Indian. We definitely managed to do so. At least we kept the position more or less stable in the Alekhine, despite the general nature of the opening. But I think we did quite well. We were never
Should
in
have
danger. At
Bordnik.
least we never felt like strategically we were in danger or tactically.
Yeah, well, okay. At the start, we were definitely better, and it's not like they played it, I think, in the correct way. This knight a6, c6. Although they allowed bishop takes a6, which was definitely something we should have gone for. But besides that, they
At
should
what
have played
point?
knight c7
Bishop
before
a6?
d5.
I don't have a board
Um,
in front of me. We'll put it in post
yeah, like
production.
they played d5, c5, and knight d7. We could have taken on a6 if I remember the move order correctly. Which definitely like black should play knight c7 first and avoid this damaging of the pawn structure, no doubt. But okay, then we got a slight advantage, but not like the kind of advantage that's easy to really capitalize on.
Yeah.
Then it was equal, completely equal. And then they took on f5, and suddenly, yeah, we have like a very serious advantage. And then, of course, it kind of yo-yoed a bit because we misplayed it, they misplayed it, and so on. But overall, we were only better and never worse in that game. So kind of fair to say that we were never in like danger or anything. Of
No,
course, we probably could have played it better.
and I felt the separation was also made towards the final stages of the game as we were both entering those final 30 seconds. Like those final 30 seconds were always so tricky. And I was happy as we were going through the motions that they actually had the weaker king. And that felt like it's going to give us a huge boost just
Mhm.
from the simple practical value of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the weak king in time trouble is a really big practical minus.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
it's not so about like knight d1 we made a mistake, okay, but objective mistake, but very often it's more about the practical elements than the objective moves in Blitz because you have to play quickly, you keep time on the clock. Like you're not going to calculate everything. So these mistakes, sometimes it's even just good to be conscious that you're going to make a mistake and just make a move which, okay, you know it's not like a blunder or anything. Of course, you don't want to blunder, but you're not thinking too much like I'm losing my advantage or I need to calculate everything to a win because you probably won't have the time to calculate everything to a win.
Hmm.
So you might as well just make a move that looks decent and quick rather than laboring over your decisions.
Yeah,
Of course, there are times when moving quickly, you can make a mistake that you don't come back from. That can also happen.
yeah, no. 91 was the move that I felt gave us a huge boost as well. And I said it during the interview after the match also. The engine was saying, yeah, this was a pretty bad move from an objective point of view, lost the advantage, but from a practical perspective. And I think it's all about practicality in these short time controls. But yeah, really good match. Second game, they were putting some pressure in this Frankenstein Dracula variation. I guess they specifically wanted to play that against maybe both of us because you and Robert discussed this, and I'm known as the Count. So I guess they wanted to to do something related to that.
Yeah, they probably Danya checked it a bit, and Robert maybe knew something about it as well. But I don't know anything else like about the reasoning why they went for it. Um, it's a line where yeah, like we said during the game, black can either go black actually has a variety of options. Like you don't have to play knight takes e4, of course.
Yeah.
But then white tries to get d3 f4, which is okay, could be very dangerous if black doesn't know what they're doing. Knight e4 is like the let's say professional way. And then black has a choice to go for this like crazy what's called Frankenstein Dracula, which is that after queen f3 and knight d6. Wait, sorry. Queen h5, knight d6, bishop b3 to play knight c6.
Mm-hmm.
And then this stuff happens with knight b5, g6, queen f3, f5, queen d5, and then black sacks the rook on a8, but gets a lot of development advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay for black, objectively. Like, you sack the rook, and there are corresponds games. Black eventually plays b6, gets the knight back, has a really strong initiative based on the queen on d5 and so on. And corresponds games end in draws, or sometimes black wins. Although it's not like the biggest correspondence kind of territory. But I couldn't remember details. And that's why I said, like, okay, it's very risky, of course, to go for this. Although if you had said let's do it, I would have said, okay, let's do it just for fun, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think we generally took the good practical decisions throughout the match in time trouble situations. I think overall it was a pretty smooth sailing. We never lost, which was also extremely, extremely important. Obviously, going tie breaks, going to the Armageddon, that would be a coin toss. So yeah, good matches, good games. Do they matter to you at all? Like, what's your general, let's say, take on the whole event, Team Battle Chess? It was very well received by the public. How did you feel about the tournament? Is it an interesting concept to you?
It was fun. Of course, I didn't care too much.
Right.
You know, this matters so much. I'm sure you also, it was, you know, it's not like a make or break thing, right?
Of course.
Of course, you still want to do well. Well, like, once you're playing, whether it's a casual game or a serious game, and this was something in between, right? It's for money, it's televised. You don't want to look like a fool, but it's also not going to change anything really.
You also want to get some content out of it.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to win, right? You want to beat some of your rivals, perhaps, or some strong players. So it's something in between, and of course, you're going to still put your best effort when you're there. At least that's what I do. I think maybe other players, like Wesley, maybe he didn't care too much. He was a bit, didn't seem like he had put all his effort into it. But once I'm in it, I'm probably going to put as much effort as I can.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like, we didn't really prepare. We strategized, let's say, on occasion. I think for the first match, I don't even remember exactly what our strategy was. I think the main takeaway was that we never wanted to be down on time, or at least as we entered the last minute, we never wanted to be down on time. We were a couple of times, but I don't think we were close enough, I guess, and that was our main strategy, more or less. Openings wise, funny surprise by Anish in game 2 of our first match, to uncork a novelty out of nowhere in this format was a pretty big surprise.
It wasn't like a huge, I don't think he cared too much about it, but it was some sort of idea. Maybe it was like a blitz or rapid idea.
Yeah. Which match did you feel like we were in danger, if any of them, or better yet?
Wesley and Ellis, they were like winning in the way in which we can't even really fight. Right?
Yeah.
We're kind of, once they win, like, we don't even have moves left. We have 2 pieces, 1 knight, 1 pawn. I mean, we can't do much with these pieces, right? So once they find the winning plan, it's over and we go to Armageddon, and then of course who knows what happens.
Mm-hmm,
it's a complete toss-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying. Yeah. Which team would you say had the best chemistry outside of us, obviously?
Okay, you could say Robert and Danya. They clearly cared a lot. They put a lot of effort into it among well, I don't, it's not like it was life or death for them, but obviously Danya was putting a lot of effort into it. This was very visible. And I think Robert as well, although less visibly, right? Danya was about as tense as you could get, which was also great to see, of course, for a viewer. And so I think that, like, Eric Hansen and Jordan Van Forest had a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They did face a tough team, so it was a close match. Of course, these are very often some toss-ups, things go one way or another based on some very minute details.
Hmm.
But I think they were a good team. I think Hikaru and Levy didn't really have chemistry, but of course Hikaru is super strong, and Levy's also a good player in time trouble. Like he's a good blitz player, but uh, but just having Hikaru is gonna like take you pretty far.
I felt Hikaru gave him a lot of responsibilities throughout the match. Um, I felt maybe Hikaru could have been a bit more, strong in his beliefs, especially in those last few seconds. Um, Occasionally, he just mentioned a couple of moves and or it was like, okay, Levy, you make the decision. Sometimes it wasn't the best decision. But otherwise, yeah, it was an interesting team for sure. And I think, more or less, I see that result as it could have gone either way. That final game in the match between Danya and Robert versus Hikaru and Levy could have went either way. They were in fact winning with the white pieces. They were up on time, 3 minutes against 20 seconds, and it was more of a comeback win from Danya and Robert. So anything could have happened. They could have went into the finals, and then who knows what would have transpired after that. But overall, a fun event. I hope they're gonna do it again. I feel they're probably gonna do it again just for the simple fact that people enjoyed it. A lot of people tuned in. Their match, in fact, I believe at some point at their peak viewership, there were about 25,000 people watching. The finals, I think we reached 15,000, somewhere around that. So I think overall the numbers were pretty encouraging. Definitely interest from the people, which I was not necessarily surprised, but I guess you could say I was pleasantly surprised about that. Going into the competition, I felt like, okay, what is this? It's not hand and brain. Obviously, the stronger player is going to make 90% of the decisions, but it was a bit more balanced than I expected. And chemistry was quite an important factor. So, yeah, pleasantly surprised about the event. I had a lot of fun. It was fun competing. My last tournament was last summer.
They'll do it again. Like this, as far as I've heard, it's happening next year.
It's happening again, yeah? So they're going to do it on an
I think it's a
yearly
good
basis.
event.
Yeah.
It's like with chess.com, I think that okay, in general they do well, but they do some things, in my opinion, not well, one of the things that they really do well is, um, like one of the things that I like is that they do have these like competitive but also fun events.
Mm-hmm.
I think another one is like the I am not a GM. It's a fun concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you'd expect to see. It's not like, okay, Magnus, Hikaru, Ali Reza, or Wesley, or so on and so forth, playing for the millionth time. It's players who maybe you don't see as much, but they're good players, and it's an exciting format. So, and then of course they do some things which I definitely think they could do better. Um, but these sorts of events I really think are a good way to, like, it doesn't have to always be the same thing. It can be something a little bit different. And this is like that.
Yeah. It's a
But we'll see
community
for
event.
most
It
part.
almost feels like a community event, right?
Yeah, I think it's also a good mix because what I really didn't like, although I know that it was good for like bringing popularity to chess, was the whatever they called it, PogChamps.
PogChamps, yes.
Like, okay, I understand this is not for
We're
me.
gonna get a lot of hate
It's
for
not made
this.
for me, but it's the same way I see like you have some you get some chess players together and you make them play some sport which they're absolutely awful at.
Like chess boxing.
Um, yeah, it could be chess boxing. It's like, you have people who are good at something and they're celebrities in that thing, like let's say Hikaru or Magnus, and then you ask them to yeah, to play basketball
Mm.
or to try to cook or something. And it's like, what's the point of this? It's the same thing with PogChamps. I was like, you have these people who are good at whatever they're good at. I don't know all the people, but they have their following, and then you ask them to play chess, and then they're just blundering pieces, and you have Hikaru comment on their blunders. And I know that people will tune in. And overall, it's gonna bring attention,
Yeah.
which is the goal. So, okay, they achieved the goal. But for me, I don't want to see people blunder pieces and create something which has no like lasting value.
Mm. You're
Anyway,
a purist in
no, I'm
that
not a purist
sense.
because I like to watch people play chess in like a competitive form. Like I said, I am not a GM. They're not the best players in the world, but they're very strong players for sure. They're
Yeah.
international masters,
Yeah.
right? Players like Levy, Danny, Lawrence, and so on and so forth. John Bartholomew, probably the strongest among them, who he was always winning this stuff. Uh, so it's not like I'm asking to only see the same four people in every tournament. It's just that uh, I don't really see what's entertaining about watching people do something that they're not good at, especially if they're good at something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah, it's like, of course, I know that if you get LeBron to play a game of chess, it's great. It's going to bring millions of people to watch. Or if you get Messi and Ronaldo to take his photo shoot. But what you're actually going to get is just LeBron. I mean, it's just, it's LeBron, so people will watch. But him playing chess is like me playing basketball. So I would assume, right? Like absolutely nothing there. So you might as well watch him, paint a home or something. It doesn't really matter what he's doing, and that's where I don't see the point.
LeBron painting a home. Okay. I don't know how we got
Well,
to this
maybe
one, but
maybe I don't really. You
I, I,
can
I think
substitute
he
it for
would
anything, but the
he would
point is LeBron is the best at basketball. So why would I want to watch him do something that he's never tried before? But I know people will disagree with this.
I think he would be a good painter. I'll leave it at that. All right. Perfect. Team chess battle. That one is behind us, in front of us, starting in actually most likely by the time this podcast is released, is probably starting tomorrow on March 12th. American Cup, third edition. You won the first one. You got into, I believe, the semifinals last year. Is that correct? And then,
No.
yeah,
No,
another
I
run.
last year nothing good happened last year. I won one match, I lost two, and that was it.
Yep. So this one definitely trying to get that one back. Try to get the title back, but it's not going to be easy. The best chess players in the US, both female and the open section. So let's go through the brackets right now. You're starting off against Greg Oparin, a newcomer to the American Cup, a newcomer mostly to the American chess scene. But he's been around for a while. You know him quite well. And I believe pretty much everybody knows by now, he's one of your seconds. You're going to be facing him in the first round. Then we have Aronian versus Sevian, Dominguez versus Robson, and Wesley versus Sam Shanklin. Let's start with your match. What do you expect from this big clash against a player that you know quite well?
I don't know what to expect. It's not the most convenient pairing, of course, because okay, we work together. So that's a bit annoying. But it's a weird format. It's like classical then rapid, so it's not a rapid tiebreak, it's just rapid. That counts the same as classical. Very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So you can lose two classical games, win two rapid, play a blitz playoff, win that, and win the match,
Mm-hmm.
which is some would argue with the format, but okay, that's what it is.
Same weight for the rapid and the classical points
As
wise.
far as I know, same weight,
Yeah.
same one,
Yeah.
and then a blitz playoff,
And
not
you
a rapid
play
playoff.
one classical followed by one rapid in the same day. No matter what the
Yeah,
result is,
it's
you're
a
going to play
2 day
two
match.
games.
It's a 2 day match.
Yeah.
So on the 12th is the first match. On the 13th is the first match, second day.
Mm-hmm.
On the 14th is the second match, but also then they have the losers bracket because it's double elimination. So
Mm-hmm.
then there's also the elimination bracket or whatever you want to call it, losers bracket. And yeah, like if you won your first match, then on the 14th is the second match classical. There's no classical in the elimination bracket. That's just a rapid playoff and so on.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, it's it's a tough one. It's a tough tournament, of course.
One good thing about, in comparison to last year, is that both brackets will have a rest day. So
Hmm.
last year, I think the champions bracket, the winners bracket, did not have a rest day. Sure, they had the extra life if they make it to the grand finals, but there was no rest day. The elimination bracket had a rest day throughout the event. This time, both the champions bracket and the elimination bracket get a rest day, which is, in my opinion, an improvement. Another cool thing about the event is that the classical time control is game 90 plus 30, no second time control. So we're always most likely going to be seeing a lot of time trouble situations that will be will be a deciding factor. We've seen that last year as well. If I remember correctly, Hikaru was playing the Kalashnikov. I know a lot of players, most likely with the black pieces, given the time control, will take more risks. So that's pretty cool. How do you see this transition? How do you anticipate this transition between classical and immediately during the same day with the same weight play a game of rapid?
Yeah, it could lead to actually some boring games in classical because like why take I don't know, it could also lead to risks in classical because then the like I have a good chance to come back because I'm playing a rapid, so and the rapid counts for the same. But it could also be that you just like some players will just try to make a draw with white and then take it to the rapid and try to strike with white in the rapid.
Mm-hmm.
That could be. That would be like, for example, Wesley's sort of approach could be because uh, it's difficult to play for a win these days.
Oh yeah.
Everyone is really, really well prepared, and it's hard to get them out of their comfort zone, which is where mistakes happen. And I think that's the case for all the players in the tournament, whether you're talking about, let's say, Wesley, who's one of the top whatever players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he is. Well, definitely top 10, but I don't know, maybe top five or
Not top five for
top
sure.
top eight.
Ding is
Okay, it's
five, Nordirbeck is four.
yeah, he's 5 points away from top five. Okay, but anyway, number eight in the world
Close, yeah.
and the second seed, so he's the second rated. Or if you're talking about the lowest rated, which is Grigori or Sam Shankland or Sam Savion or Ray Robson, all of these players, when they're in their comfort zone, they're going to play at a super high level, basically perfect chess. And when they're out of their comfort zone, they're going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, that includes me and all these other players. That's that's simply how it is. And it's so difficult now because it's harder and harder to get players out of their place where they're comfortable. So um, whether you're playing Magnus or you're playing, well, okay, some players are a bit more willing to go out of their comfort zone. I would say Magnus and I am and Hikaru maybe to some extent as well. We're willing to go a little bit outside there, but uh, but definitely most players will not want to do that, and they're going to be really tough to beat if they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Hikaru is not playing. That's one notable absence. I think, and I hope I'm not mistaken in that regard, is because it's too close to the candidates. He was invited. Of course, he was invited as the second best player in the US. He refused the invitation, declined the invitation, I would assume because he wants to focus on the candidates, focus on his preparation. With this tournament being so close, basically, this one finishes, you have a week's break, and then you go to the candidates. Do you see any overlap? Do you feel like you're going to perhaps attribute too much energy, too much prep, show too many ideas in this one without revealing too much, of course? How do you feel about the closeness between this tournament and the beginning of the candidates?
Well, to show ideas, you have to have ideas. I'm not too worried. Um, no, it's I'd rather play something before than not. So I'm happy to play something before the candidates.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a
It's
good
been a
thing.
while since I've played classical chess. I mean, I haven't played a single classical game
Is it
since the
since the
Sinkfield Cup.
I thought it was the Grand Prix, but Singfield was actually in December.
You mean the Grand
Grand
Swiss?
Swiss, yes,
Yeah,
Grand
it's
Swiss.
been over 4 months.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
or about 4 months. Yeah. Okay. Then I played the Champions Tour. It's Rapid. I played the World Rapid and Blitz, Rapid Blitz. Then I played basically nothing. And then I
Hmm.
played Fisher Random,
Hmm.
which is class. Actually, I should say that is classical. So I have played classical, but okay, very different type of classical. It's a type of classical where you don't prepare for your games because there are no openings, um, which is just different because you know that you're going to get some position. While in classical, like normal chess, I know that if I want to fight for an advantage of white, if I want to get a game, if I want to get a chance to fight for a win with the white pieces, I kind of have to surprise my opponent a bit or prepare something special,
Hmm.
have some new idea, or get a bit lucky perhaps. While in Fisher Random, I know that I'll probably get a chance, just like uh, as a rule. While here, it's definitely not as a rule. It's something that you have to dig quite deep for.
Is this something, the preparation before the game, the seeking for ideas, as you just pointed out, is this part of, let's say, the top level preparation, an integral part of it? Like, do you feel you're missing something whenever you don't do that? Like during the freestyle chess event, did you feel like you're missing something for not having to do this work before the actual game?
Um, well, I was sort of working on chess regardless,
Oh, you mentioned that
but
you
yeah,
you were doing some preparation, yes, but not for
yeah,
a
just
freestyle
general
or
chess work.
classical. Yeah.
But I prefer it. I mean, like it's less stressful for sure, and I know that it's just going to be a fight between me and my opponent, and there probably won't be like some outside circumstances like I could just get unlucky and not get a fight at all um because my opponent prepared a certain line where you know you have no chances basically.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know they would play that line, but they prepared it right before the tournament and they just kill the game, right? Or sometimes that people try to kill the game and it doesn't work out because sometimes you get a position that the computer says it's 0.00 in like 10 different ways, so you stop your analysis. But it turns out that it's still a fight, and then you actually can outplay them. I mean, this has happened for sure in games I can think of in the last year. Like I beat Lanier in the World Cup. I was surprised out of the opening, got a position with absolutely no chances to be better, and then it was like an isolated pawn, and I was able to keep the game alive, maneuvered, and 6 hours of chess later, I've managed to win.
Mm.
So I never would say that chess is dead or close to dead or dying or anything. You can see all the tournaments that happen, like the Festival, Prague Masters,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that no matter what happens in the opening, some fight occurs. Okay, there were some games where White didn't get anything and it was a draw. But like most of these games, it's like what's going on? Some crazy stuff happens. Um, Sometimes it's because people decide to experiment in the opening because they want to fight themselves, right? Even with the black pieces. Sometimes it's because they forget their prep. Sometimes it's because they get an equal position, but they don't, know how to play it so well. Or there's a million reasons, but stuff does happen, and that is pretty much a rule of chess. And that's why, like, I know not to be too worried about, what's gonna. I know some people are, but like to be super worried, like, what am I possibly gonna do to try to get an advantage in this game? Because something will happen. I don't know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's pretty much inevitable.
Yeah, no, mistakes always happen. Chances always arise in a game of chess. And this whole idea, this whole concept of chess is dead, chess is too drawish, it never happens. Classical chess is not dead. Classical chess is going to be here, sure. The entertainment value perhaps is more attached to the rapid and blitz events, but classical chess, backed by a lot of preparation, backed by a lot of prestige and value to the tournament, is always going to be a pleasure to watch and pleasure to play. So yeah, that's the candidates are coming. The candidates are definitely coming. Good tournament to start, let's say, preparing, start gearing up for the candidates. At the same time, it's also a different time control. We were just mentioning this game 90, 30 seconds, no increment, very different than the candidates, right?
Yeah, kind of different.
No second time control. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But okay, chess is chess,
Chess is
and
chess.
time what's the word? Time usage, knowing when to use your time, where to use your time is part of the game. And that's why we have a time control. Otherwise, we would just, give up players 8 hours each and just say, well, think about, and then you would get maybe some very boring, dry chess because people will make very few mistakes. So putting your opponent in time pressure is part of the game. Knowing that people make mistakes and then perhaps trying to press your opponent on time, that is a legitimate strategy. In fact, it's probably one of the best strategies as long as you do it within reason without compromising your play too much.
Yeah, yeah. No, Fabi, great chatting. I think we covered what happened with the Team Chess battle. We also covered extensively the American Cup time format, your side of the bracket, or at least, the match that you're going to play, the general feeling of the tournament, and we'll see how everything is going to develop. I'm here in St. Louis to do some commentary for this one. I'm excited to get back in the commentary booth with Yasser and Anastasia. The games always, I believe, are going to start at 1 p.m. Central Time. If you're in the United States, I don't know what European time that is. You can find them on the YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and pretty much all the other socials of the St. Louis Chess Club. Mostly YouTube. You should check it out on YouTube. That's their, let's say, biggest production. So I'm excited for the tournament. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a fun one for the players, commentators, and spectators due to this hybrid, let's say, format. So very, very excited about it. Guys, we'll be chatting with you. Perhaps if you will get a rest day, maybe I'll catch up with you again. But until then, don't forget, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Support the channel. Check out the Team Caruana new swag. It's coming. I ordered you some samples, Fabi. So are you excited to wear Team Caruana shirt?
Very excited.
Excellent.
But I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to wear it.
So the excitement is an internal thing.
Should we send one to Anish? Do you have his address?
I don't, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. I know which city he lives in, but that's about the extent of it.
I'll try to find it and I'll send him a sample. Anish, if you're listening to this, which you probably are, send us your address. We'll send you some Team Caruana swag. I know you want it. Anyway, cheers, guys. Good night.